Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 44 of the Turbo Duo Cast. I'm your host, Salvatore Mata, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover. He puts the class in classic gaming. He's the oral assassin. It's Trenton E. Wright III, Esquire. Welcome back to the show, Trent. It's been a hot minute. How are you doing?
I'm just proud to be here.
I'm happy to be here.
And I just want you all to bask in my glory.
In the glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I am.
There's a glow.
Who do you think you are? I am. That's right. I did it.
Add in a little, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. But we have a middleman here as well today too.
We do. Well, we have, I can't even say returning. We have our other podcast co-host.
Yeah,
it's the shy guy.
He's the double stuffed Oreo.
He's the rye guy. That's right. Yeah. He's the cream in the middle.
Yeah.
He's what can Brown do for you? He's the manly manager.
He's the marshmallow in our s'more.
That's it. Mixed with the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The brown,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's Mr. Ryan Brown. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Ryan Brown.
Yeah. It's not really like a good name you could like chant if you were like a wrestler.
Really not. Like Brown.
Yeah, it's like,
Brown.
Let's go Brown. I don't know. Who's going to use the bathroom?
The best one was, don't look at me, ask that Brown guy.
Wow.
And Turbo Duo and a half returning again.
Can he graduate to 3/4 now? Maybe?
3/4 Turbo Duo and 3/4 and 5/8.
I'll give that's a good one.
5/8. It's Salvatore, superstar, no longer soccer. We got superstar hockey, Salvatore Thomas Mata
baseball.
In the building.
He's
with baseball.
He's the white Bo Jackson.
That's it. Yeah. He really is the dual sports hero.
Yeah,
that's it. Welcome back to the show, Sal. How you feeling, buddy? How's that blueberry culotta treating you?
Oh, very nice.
That Blue Manchu.
Nice. Good. Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. As a PSA, obviously you guys are watching this saying, I thought these guys were dead. We're not dead.
They still make you?
Yeah. Some things have happened in the last 6 months that I think are going to be good things for the show. We've had a long session of soul searching and kind of taking a look at the model, the model for social media and how to be able to bring this show to the fore in a way that can reach more people, because we do believe in it. And we've traditionally done very long form conversations here, hour and a half, 2 hours or more. And those are great, and we're going to continue to do that. But I think we're also going to really just break the segments up, and so that we'll be able to deliver those to you guys in 15, 20-minute clips, and not really try to take hold of your whole day, where you can drop in, listen to one, drop out, and then drop back in whenever you're ready.
And that would be more for the YouTubers.
Sure.
The podcast will be still in its long form, but we'll have broken up clips because sometimes people don't want to spend a whole hour listening.
What do you think? What do you think? As we're talking on the show here, what do you think about the podcast itself, and creating that in a shorter form too, to be able to break those up? Do you think that plays well? And
I don't think so. I don't know any podcast that does that. I mean, okay. I haven't seen any podcast I see or listen. What they do is they have it on YouTube and they break the show up into segments, clips. Yep. That's what gets them more traction. But the podcast, the audio version, is still just the hour, hour long version.
Yep.
It's a lot easier to pause and come back to an audio podcast than it is a video. Video, you're visually at the same time.
Yeah.
All good things.
Yeah, so this is going to be sort of a, kind of a Turbo Duo 2.0. We're going to reintroduce the show a little bit. We're going to try to bring game reviews still, and I think that's really pertinent. We still want to bring those old games that we played as kids and just expand from there. But, I think compelling retro gaming talk brings into the conversation more than just talking about a game. It's bringing in some, more contemporary topics and kind of bringing them back to retro gaming and sort of where gaming is, and, giving sort of our retro impressions of how things are and how we feel about them, and be able to share those with you guys and just, have a conversation, and just explore it a little bit.
Get a nice back and forth going too,
Yeah, kind of like tennis.
Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. Who are you, Andre or Pete?
I got to be Andre.
Yeah.
More flamboyant. Definitely lets it hang out a little bit more. Pete was a little bit more reserved, a little bit more conservative.
When you say hang out,
yeah, just personality, hair. Remember the hair? Remember those Canon burst shot or whatever that commercial was? The Canon.
Oh yeah.
I forget what the name of the line was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Canon, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's, just a little PSA for you guys. Thank you for joining us again. We love doing this show. Of course, we're all adults and we've got adult lives, and so sometimes that gets in the way, but we don't want to stop ever doing this because it's just, it's a part of that childhood, right? We've talked about that before, and there's some piece of that we just always want to hold on to, and so we really look forward to doing that and bringing it to you guys, and thank you guys for the support. But with that, I think we should just get right into it. What do you guys think?
Let's blast off
to
the nth dimension.
Sounds good. So topic number 1. It's been 6 months, guys. What is everybody playing right now? Anybody playing anything? Anything you've played in the last 6 months that you want to talk about?
I got 2 games.
Trent with 2 games.
Well, actually, one I played for like a day, and then I haven't gone back to it. Which is the first Bugs Bunny on NES.
Like Birthday Bash, like the one where you're in the maze.
Yeah,
with the big monster, the big hairy monster.
Oh no, no, there's no big hairy monster in it. But you're like, it's like one level, and you get like all the carrots, and then you go out the door.
Is it a Game Boy game?
Huh?
Crazy
Castle.
Is it a Game Boy game?
No, Nintendo.
No, Nintendo.
Well, it's on the Game Boy.
Yeah, okay. It's on both.
It was because that was one I remember getting for my birthday.
I feel like that was a budget title.
It's Kemco.
I feel like it was a 1999 game.
No, NES.
Yeah.
Oh, you said 1999.
Like it would be 1999 at Kmart.
Oh. I don't. It probably was. If I got it for, if I got it, it probably was.
Well, I just remember that story of you guys with Turtles, and it's like, well, Turtles 1's 1999, Turtles 2's 29.99. We're gonna go with Turtles 1.
Yeah,
devastate our children.
Yeah, but no, I had that as a kid, and I just I was just booted up, and there's 100 levels. And I think I'm at like 60, and I was like, I've had enough for right now. But there's passwords. You got
to level 60. That's pretty impressive.
But there's passwords. But like every time you beat a level, you get like an extra life. So like you kind of like stack up your like extra lives.
I don't know why I just got the image of Zombies Ate My Neighbors in my head. Just like going past levels and getting passwords, because there's no way you're gonna beat the game in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of like the same thing. Yeah, because I was like, it's got to be done by now, and then I looked it up, and it was like 100 levels. I was like, man, I don't know how anyone can get to the end.
That's still a hot experience. I mean, you really dug in for a little while.
Yeah. It's a lot of repeating like enemies and music, but tunes are kind of catchy. But the other game that I feel like I've been years like going into this game is 007 World Is Not Enough.
Oh, yes,
yes. I think we've mentioned it a couple times.
We were going to do a review on that versus
but, what happened was
GoldenEye.
Yeah. But hot take that it is better than GoldenEye.
Oh,
it is better than GoldenEye.
Okay.
Tell me why. Presentation, graphics. It uses the expansion pack.
I like the shooting control in that game.
It like everything about it is way better. Like people will be like, no way, GoldenEye, but they probably haven't played The World Is Not Enough. It's I don't want to say literally the same game, but like if you're playing it, you're like, this is GoldenEye, but everything way better.
Which is funny because that's an EA game, right?
Yeah, it is.
So it's not rare.
They play like the multiplayer is like same setup, same like everything.
I really appreciated with those old games. I know that it's a little clunky. I appreciated the lock-on shooting where you didn't have to aim at their head, or you could just, and then you could destabilize them and then just shoot them in 3 shots.
But even when you boot it up and you switch back and forth from like high-res mode to like, you can tell like the difference. Like sometimes in some games,
is it slower in high-res mode?
It doesn't play any slower or anything. Yeah, it makes it look way crisp. Like just the story mode, like there's all the characters talk and everything, so it's not just like a cutscene. They're like actually talking.
It's not No Mercy.
Yeah, just everything about it is just so much better. And there's like 15 levels. I think I'm like halfway through it.
Well, I guess we're not reviewing those 2 games now.
Well, I mean we could, but that's what I've been playing. Just that's those awesome. 2. I'll like boot it up for maybe like a half hour, an hour. Just try to get like 1 level, and then I'll get back to it like another time. It's a really fun game.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. I remember playing it a little bit, and I was texting with you about it. I'm like, I got some opinions, man. Like,
are you playing on the PlayStation or 64?
No, 64.
Okay, yeah.
I have it on the 64, and I was thoroughly enjoying myself playing the game. It felt a lot like GoldenEye, but I just, I guess in the moment it wasn't, hey, this is way better than GoldenEye. I was like, man, this is like a continuation. I feel like this is really good.
Yeah.
It's really fun to play, and it's not clunky. It feels natural. Once you learn the controls.
It's just a shame that it just came out so late where everyone had already kind of moved on from the 64.
Yeah.
But if the multiplayer is awesome, and the good thing is like you can play against bots. So if you're just by yourself, you can just play multiplayer with bots.
Cool. Nice.
So that's kind of cool. It's like like a practice kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, do you have an opinion on this game?
Have you played it?
Yeah, I've played them both.
Probably not recently though.
No, not recently. I played GoldenEye like a while back. I played the remaster, quote unquote, that they did on
Wii,
on Xbox.
Oh, on Xbox.
Yeah, they basically just ported it, but it actually uses the right stick.
So yeah, dual stick control.
Yeah, so it's not horrific because going back to C buttons is.
I don't know.
This is the world is not enough, right?
Either or. I was gonna say, but GoldenEye is the one that I played remastered.
Yeah,
that's or ported, I should say. That one it's so much better with 2-stick control.
Yeah.
I just remember the world is not enough having more like I don't know. I just felt like it had more content.
It does.
So I was like,
like more objective based stuff to do in the game.
It just felt like the levels weren't as empty. Like I feel like GoldenEye, some of the levels just kind of feel empty.
The thing about GoldenEye that I struggle with sometimes is like the objective you're supposed to do, right? And like the timing of it. So there's one, I don't know if it's the facility, but where you have to blow up the canisters.
Yeah, in the room, like put the little detonator thing.
But you kind of have to wait for the guy to kind of move into a certain area because if you blow him up before
he gets there, or whatever.
Yeah, before he gets to a certain distance, like then he'll die, or if you don't blow it up fast enough, then the guys come through the door and they'll shoot you. And it's like, it just doesn't, that part didn't, and maybe it's just my more modern sensibilities and having to go back to that and not remembering or recalling it, but it just seemed a little bit more clunky because I had to replay that part like 3 times. And it wasn't that I felt like I did anything wrong. It just felt like it was just the game mechanic internals. It just says like, oh, you failed that part of the mission, so you failed the mission, you're not going to pass it, which is like, oh, come on, like respect my time. But of course back then when we were kids, it didn't matter. You just replayed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Respect my time.
Anyways, Salvatore.
Yeah.
Talk about engaged.
You go from blue raspberry culotta to totally strung out
sugar crash.
Yeah. What are you playing lately?
Nothing. I have not played.
Oh, don't say that.
I haven't played anything. What do you mean?
You and I are playing a lot together on one specific
what
game.
Are we playing?
It's been 6 months. You've played something.
I don't know. I've played Wii Sports.
You're playing a lot of Wii Sports, which is great. And
the original Wii Sports, or like
original Wii Sports, that, and then also Nintendo Switch Sports. What are you and your buddy playing? Is it badminton?
Yeah, we actually
like
get knocked out.
These kids are sweating up a storm. Like it is just like it's getting hot and heavy in this place. They're going balls to the wall. Like you can tell that they're having a blast doing it. But the home run derby is the thing in Wii Sports that they're playing. That it's like, how many can I get? It's like, how many can I get to?
I finally got 8.
Which is awesome. Nice. It's hard to get more than 8.
Do you do the bowling where you try to get like 100 pins or whatever? Have you done that one?
Oh, I haven't done that one yet. Isn't that like
he's like keeps going up? Like I think right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Where
there's more and more. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. But he's having fun with that.
Like the challenges, like they're training. It's like 1 pin, then 2 pins, and 3 pins.
I think that's
gets higher.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. And then still playing. He went back to Piggy actually.
Yes.
We played together because Roblox is now on PS5
and PS4.
So I created a profile and we're going together. We're playing in like the Piggy levels, And then we played this thing,
Pig
64.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Which is like a collectathon with like early polygon graphics. And
you have to collect you have to collect like wallets. You got to collect
wow.
You got to collect sticks. You got to collect all.
It's rare style collectathon. But the thing is it goes back to like the piggy game. So you have to collect certain things, certain extras throughout the piggy game chapters.
I'm sorry, Minitoon.
That you then use in this Pig 64 thing, which I didn't even know about. There's like a deeper thing there, so we haven't done all that stuff, but that's been fun to engage in. And then like MLB VR Home Run Derby.
I wasn't playing it too much. I didn't like it that much though.
Well, you were standing on the plate, so that didn't really help you.
You were crowding the plate.
Yeah.
No, I was
just like in wiffle ball.
What? On wiffle ball?
Yeah, when we played last week.
I wasn't on the plate.
Oh, you were crowding the plate.
Yeah, I get close to the plate so I can actually hit it.
That's crowding.
We don't need to talk about the comeback win. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Ryan, what about you? What are you playing?
Nothing.
No, I've
one
played
game.
a few different things.
Minecraft. 6 months later.
No, I got Hogwarts Legacy on my PS5 and I platinumed it because I was like,
I don't know what that means. That means what?
Means you got
100%
every
completion. I
secret.
platinumed it.
because 100%ing the game 11 times wasn't enough, so I thought 12. Why not?
Keep it 100.
But no, in more like games I haven't played in a while or not before, I did a run through of Batman Arkham Asylum.
Oh,
which
I've always wanted to play through that.
360? Is that what that was?
It's originally 360 PS3, but I played the Return to Arkham, which is like the remaster on Xbox One.
On Vita.
It's so good.
I have it on the Wii U.
Do you?
Right? That's Arkham Asylum?
Arkham City.
Arkham City is the one they did. The port they did for Wii U, which is good too. That's some people would say that's the better one. I like them. I mean, I can't really pick right now until I play both of them again, but really enjoyed Arkham Asylum. It's such a good game.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
But then retro wise, I restarted because I never beat it. I got like 80 hours in when I was younger, but I restarted it Wild Arms for PS1 on my PS3. So
how long is that game supposed to be?
80 hours, man.
I was also not good at RPGs when I was younger, so
You wandered a lot.
I wandered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I'm like 15 hours in. I'm like maybe a quarter of the way through the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
A third of it, but yeah,
that's a beast.
It's been solid.
Well,
and how about you, sir?
it stops right there and it continues over here because the game that I've been playing more of, and Liz and I have been playing stuff like we're playing.
I know what it is.
We're playing through Galaxy.
Yeah.
On the Mario 3D All Stars, so we're getting through that. She really wants to start the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
But the game that I've been playing, really, that's been a retro game, is Legend of Legaia on PS1, and it's been the thing that dominates not only my time gaming but my thoughts when I'm not playing games.
Do you have a strategy guide for it?
So much so that that's one of the pickups I'm going to talk about. I purchased the guide because I love this game so much. I had it as a kid, and I've never played it since then, and I was in about 40 or 50 hours, and then I had one of those Buster Performance memory cards.
You had a Nyko one,
and it erased my save file. And so when you're that deep in it, and you're just like completely dejected, you're like, yeah, I'll get to this maybe 26 years from now, and I'll try it again. But that was a game that I got a demo disc on, and that's what actually sold me on it. Was I played the demo disc and I was like, this is addictive. Like, I want to play this. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the music.
I'm gonna go get another fruit by the foot.
No problem. Get another fruit by the foot. The 10-year-old said.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just hitting on every beat, and it's highlighting for me, and this is a conversation we'll have, just the state of where I think gaming is today, and how these old experiences just continue to hit, whether it's The World Is Not Enough, or whether it's Wild Arms or Legend of Legaia, or even Arkham City, and it's not too long ago, but still,
It's like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, possibly, maybe a little over.
Yeah. But it's pretty much all about that. And I was never an RPG guy before that. I think that was the first real RPG that I played, and so from there, it kind of set me on a path to playing not a crazy amount, but I do like these games, and I like a game that's got a good grind is addictive. You feel good. It's almost like you're playing it and it's relaxing because you don't feel stressed out about it. It's not something that requires pinpoint precision. It requires more cerebral sort of thinking, especially when you get into the deeper parts of whatever level you're in, right? So, yeah. So, well, it sounds like everybody's having fun, which is the most important thing. What about any notable pickups? And I know it's been 6 months, so maybe we just kind of keep it to a couple or a few. But what are you doing, buddy?
Just spin the screen.
That screen.
Yeah.
Like that?
Spin it around.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it.
Like that?
Other way.
So
Spin
it's
it
facing us.
so it's facing us.
Yeah.
Here, right there is good. All right. Yeah. So Trent, any pickups that you want to talk about that are
I'm gonna
unique?
Blast through them real
All
quick because they're like half pickups. They weren't even pickups. They were give me ups.
Give me ups. That's somebody gave them to you?
Yes.
Oh.
So yeah, my friend my friend Sartorius, he gave me a bunch of stuff like years ago, of like his toys and stuff, and we kind of like split all the profits, on what we sold. And then like a month ago, he's like, hey, just went back to my grandma's house and I found a whole bunch more stuff. And I was like, oh, all right. And then he was just like, yeah, you just take it. I was like, oh, all right. Yes, I'm down with that. So these were all just the cases. So eventually I'll get the games for him. But it is Airbuster on the Genesis.
Love it. We're going to have to do a side-by-side with Aeroblasters.
Oh, why?
It's the same game. It's just on Turbo. I have it on
really?
Turbo, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But that one came with a glove, so it's better.
Well, yeah, it says there's an offer for a glove. You
Yeah.
have to send it away for it. And actually, he had the.
That's got to be a pretty penny if you have the glove.
I already had the cartridge for Chuck Rock, but he had the booklet and the case for it, so that one's complete.
Before you continue, what sociopath? No offense, Sartorius. Keeps their games separate from their cases with manuals. I never heard of that before. Either you kept the game and threw out the manual with the case, which I think is more reasonable than keeping them separated. I just never understood that.
His brother did something with him or whatever. Because I mean, most of the other stuff I all had, but I don't know. He just happened to find the cases.
Better for you.
Had the case for Toki, which he actually had the manual for. He gave me a couple years ago, and I just held on to it.
Oh.
So now I just have to get the cartridge for that. Toki going ape spit.
I don't know much about this game. I just have seen it forever. Is this another like American-made Sega game that was just trash, like Green Dog?
I believe it's on Lynx, and maybe...
Is it a Psygnosis game?
They remastered it too for Switch.
Is this on the Turbo Graphics?
I don't think so.
I know it's on the Lynx and something else. And then this is another hot jam, Mystical Fighter.
Oh.
With the case...
it's the Kabuki. It's the Kabuki. You got the green smoke.
Case and the manual for that one. And then the other gem would be Splatterhouse 2.
Now that is a piece. Did you get the manual from this guy over here?
No. Oh, what, you have a manual for it?
Do I have a manual for it?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, yeah. I'll have to check when I go back.
Maybe not anymore. Yeah, so those were givens. And then I got this Radio Shack LCD game, because back when we were kids on Christmas Eve, we would go to my grandmother's and like we would get like one little gift like the night before. Little sweetness. Yeah. And it was always a Radio Shack LCD game, and this was one of them, which is just called Kung Fu.
Oh man, that's amazing.
And it was like, I wasn't gonna buy it, but I was just watching it on eBay.
I love how it says Kung Fu game on the side.
LCD Kung Fu game with the flying kick.
Does it work?
And he's got socks on.
I don't know.
So you're serious.
I think so. I mean, it looks mint.
It looks like it came off the line.
Yeah, I was just watching it on eBay. It was like, maybe down the road, and then the guy sent me an offer for $10 with free shipping. So I was like, all right, well, $10, you know.
Oh wow!
So I had to get it because I had this one.
I wonder who made these. Like, I wonder who made actually developed the game.
I mean, it's Radio Shack, division of Tandy. Custom manufactured in China for Radio Shack.
Yikes.
custom made.
Yeah.
Kung Fu game. LCD Kung Fu game.
We have to try this.
Yeah. So it's probably awful, but you know.
I want you to rate the guide for it.
Get the official Prima strategy guide for Kung Fu game.
Right, guy. What do we got? What are you playing? Or
blast through.
What do you got? What do you got for pickups there?
I just grabbed a few. So this one's
Hidden Gem Alert.
no, it's not a good game, but it's near and dear to me because I remember my mom got it for me when I was a kid, and it's called Frogger: The Great Quest. It's kind of like your generic like adventure.
It's like Gex 3D.
A little better than that, but it's like
Better than Gex? No, it's not better than Gex.
platforming elements. You just Frogger and like some weird cursed other people. But
Listen, I bought this game brand new when it came out.
But it's Konami. I mean, they were still putting good games out then.
It's not.
It's just published by Konami.
I understand why you bought it.
Yeah,
I get it. It's trash.
Yeah. So what?
Let's continue.
People get bad games.
this one.
Don't hate.
I'm super juiced that it got a physical. Was Castle
You're super juiced.
I'm just establishing fact.
is Castle of Shikigami 2.
Bless you.
It is a shoot 'em up that was originally on PS2, I believe, and it got a Switch port done by Red Art Games.
Is that a Sikio game? Is that on this?
Pretty cool pickup? No, it's Alpha System.
Was that on PS2 in the US?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
That's one I've never heard of.
Yeah, harder to find one, but definitely a cool one.
Shikigami 2. It's a shooter.
Yep.
Oh.
Next one. This was I've been wanting to find a copy, but I did not want to spend eBay price.
How do you say it?
Grandia.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
So I got the Grandia HD
Say
collection.
Grandia, I want to slap your jaw loose.
It has Grandia 1 and 2. Really good JRPGs. Originally done by Game Arts. Cool to see a physical
Game
for
Arts.
it. It was going for like 90 on eBay.
Does it come with
so I wasn't gonna pay that,
the hidden Silpede?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But solid pickup. This next one was kind of just to add, because I'm trying to go for a complete Green Label collection for PS1 for Greatest Hits.
Oh, yeah. You did mention that a while
So I
back.
picked up Resident Evil, the Director's Cut, now supporting DualShock. Mm-hmm. So that was a cool find. Definitely. I still haven't played through the first one in the original form. I've only played the GameCube.
What's funny is this
upscale
game had, I don't know how many versions. The one that I had was I think it was a double
disc?
like a double disc pack at least. I don't know if it had 2 discs, and it had the first long box picture on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if I remember that
second
correctly.
Print.
Yeah, that was the second print.
Yeah. Another cool one. Actually got this as a gift from Sal and Liz, and it's
Ryan celebrated a birthday recently.
Yeah, it's Astro Aqua Kitty Possum Collection. It has Astro Aqua Kitty and Aqua Kitty UDX. They're kind of like
the greatest Defender game.
Yeah, it's like a Defender
in the history
mixed
of
with
Defender
like a twin
games.
stick shooter. It's really, really solid.
It's not real. It's amazing. It's my favorite modern retro game of the last 10, 15 years.
That's a bold statement.
It is though. It really is. It really is. It's that good.
And then last pickup, I've been wanting it again. I got rid of it and was pissed about it, but Vagrant Story for PS1, late JRPG, really good Square game. This one was able to get it complete and just cannot wait to play through it. So definitely a cool pickup. And those are that's what I brought today.
That's what you brought to the table, literally.
Yeah.
You know, guys.
You know, it feels like it's a little heavy on that side of the table, you know?
Sometimes the things you get are the things you didn't realize that you didn't want.
The things you get are the things you realize you didn't want.
Well, I've never ever had much interest in this console, but you know, I let the fates decide where I'm heading. And so fate decided that through this wonderful gentleman over here,
through pure osmosis,
that I needed to start a new collection in some regard. And so, anywho, long story short is I am now the pristine platinum plus silver spoon in my mouth owner of an Atari 5200. That is right.
But a unique one.
Because
4 controller ports.
4 controller ports.
For all those.
They don't all have 4 controller ports?
No, normally they have 2. I'm pretty sure the only way to get the 4 controller port one back in the day was to order direct from Atari.
Oh.
I believe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I do know
So you
Now-
can play what?
Could be wrong, but I think so.
Now, what do you do with these 4 controller ports?
Well, the 5200 famously was the first console to have analog control sticks.
That didn't answer the question.
And I purchased 4 or 5 games from Ryan today, and so I'm off to the races. Although the 5200 has a funky quirk. I've never heard of this before, where the video cord actually is where you plug in the power, and then the video cord then sends back into the 5200 the power from the wall. You heard that right.
Yeah. So it's only
Atari's so good.
It's only the 5200. And
I wonder why they
just can't
didn't
do
make
anything
it.
just normal or just
it's
not
only
even
the
normal,
first,
just efficient.
Yeah, it was only the first prints or the first early ones that did this, but it's this weird switch box, and it has the RF out, which would go to the TV. It has a little slot which just says game, which is where the RF from the system would come.
I know what that looks
And then
like.
there's a generic power port where the power pack goes into the switch box, and somehow it sends power from the switch box back into the system to boot it up, which then sends the video from the system into the switch box, which then also goes to the TV.
And they all lived happily ever after.
I'm gonna need a whiteboard.
And this is why the early 5200s are notorious for breaking.
I feel like this needs to be like a class, an Atari history.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, wait, does the 7800 play 5200 or only 2600?
No, only 26. So because the 5200 carts are bigger, they don't fit on
right.
anything but the 52.
They have a converter for that. No, I'm just
Now,
kidding.
once again, what do you do with the 4 controller ports?
Invite over.
You play Castle Crashers.
Is there a 4-player game for it?
I'm sure there is.
Might be switching off. I don't know. We'll come back to you guys with
It's like,
an update on
we
that.
have them because we did.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, that happened. So we'll see if anything comes from that. But the other pickups, I saw this in Level 1 Games.
Oh, where's that? Wait, level 1? Which one's that?
Danbury.
Oh.
On my way back from New York.
Oh.
I was at the New York office. I don't know what it is. I just know it says Atlas on it. So it was $20, and I said, okay. It's called Class of Heroes, which looks like a dungeon crawling first-person RPG.
But that's what you want. If you're a company and you're not familiar with the game and you see their name on it, you're like, I know, like, their brand is good, so I'm just gonna buy it, even though I don't know what it is, but I know it's gonna be good.
Snowboard Kids, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that an Atlas game?
Yeah.
And then this one was a gift from the Rye guy, and what game that he mentioned, and I'm just I'm getting that itch, that RPG itch, and I don't know if there's a better RPG system than the PlayStation 1, and so hopefully once I finish Legaia, I'll be delving into Wild Arms, which is it looks like a very similar RPG. The protagonist. Why do all the protagonists have blue hair? What's up with the blue-haired protagonist?
What's up with that?
I mean, he's one of 3.
Or blue coat, or something like Vice from what's it called?
I don't know. Just don't think about it too hard.
What's my game on DC?
On Dreamcast?
Yeah. Skies of Arcadia.
Oh.
Like Vice has a blue coat. There's the guy from Time Stalkers. I think he's got blue hair. So
maybe you're right. Maybe you can do an op-ed piece on it.
Yeah. An op-ed. Anyways, and then a couple strategy guides. I got Folklore because I own Folklore, so I figured I might as well own the strategy guide.
What's a Folklore?
It's for PS3. It's kind of like a early PS3 game, but probably could have been done on PS2. But
RPG?
Kind of like a action adventure type of game. And then my Legaia, which I think I traded in at Ryan's place years ago for some reason because I couldn't find my copy, so I went on the eBays and I snagged one. But anywho, good stuff, guys. Awesome.
Nice. We did it.
We did it. All right, let's go into our second topic here. Second topic. So what we want to do with you guys here is just create like a little conversational thing between us. Feel free to comment on it. Feel free to tell us what you guys think, what your thoughts are. But obviously with a few months here, I've had a chance to think about things with the guys, and so one of the things that I really think is interesting is when we can talk about modern concepts or modern gaming issues that are coming up and sort of look at them from a retro lens or kind of give our thoughts as old men in gaming in terms of how we kind of feel about it and where things are, and use that experience and that wisdom from the past to sort of have thoughts and opinions about what what's happening today. So you'll probably see some of that stuff going on in addition to maybe some retro discussions as well. Mm-hmm. But the first kind of discussion topic that I want to ask to you guys as an audience and also to these gentlemen here is, does modern gaming have an innovation problem? And as an addendum to that, should Nintendo be included in that discussion, or are they kind of like not a part of that if there is one? So does modern gaming have an innovation problem, and should Nintendo be included in the discussion?
I mean, all right. Problem. Maybe. I feel like where like technology is right now. Like I think I mentioned this before. Like just the advancements in technology, the way we grew up, everything was like the next system was like so much better. Mm-hmm. And now we've kind of like peaked. I think in terms of technology, it's like I don't know. I mean, you say like, oh, they say a lot in wrestling and everything else. Like, oh, everything's already been done before.
Every story's been told.
Yeah, but then there's sometimes like one thing will come out and you're like, wow, that I've never seen that. I don't know where gaming goes. It's like, what is the PS6 really? Like, what is it gonna? I don't know. We've kind of like
the architecture
plateaued.
The architecture too hasn't really changed. Now they're just basically computers. They're not bespoke hardware that has any specific quirk to it or anything to unlock. I think a lot of the old systems, you saw the system evolve over time, and you saw the game developers sort of find new ways to optimize the hardware.
Yeah, the technology was moving so fast.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the NES. The NES was designed to play Donkey Kong. Mm-hmm. That's what it was designed to play. Not even Super Mario Brothers, right? And then by the end of it, we're getting games like Turtles 2, right?
Power Blade.
And Kirby, right?
Yeah.
You know, and some really advanced sort of games. Now they added chips to the cartridges, but they found ways to actually extend that hardware and new ways that they could interact with it. Same thing with, I think, all the way up until like the PS3. And you saw The Last of Us come out. And The Last of Us was a game that you didn't think was possible on the PS3, but there's actually a whole like making of video.
That was kind of like the first like movie where it was like a movie in a way, the storytelling and everything, right?
I think Uncharted probably did it a little bit more first, but
I don't feel like people talked about Uncharted as much as did Last of Us.
Not as much, right? Yeah. Well, I think Last of Us was such a it just did so much on a platform that they didn't think it could, because I mean it came out either right when the PS4 came out or right before. Like it was later.
What was that game that came out with Ellen Page?
Oh, Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls. So you look at games like The Last of Us and Beyond Two Souls, and those developers, they basically tapped everything they possibly could. Like I won't even play those types of games on like a fat PS3 because it'll just drive that thing to just
be humming.
Yeah. You need to use like a next level PS3. You need to use like a second gen PS3 or even that super slim, because if you try to run those games on that first generation PS3, it's going to explode. You know, like they're really pushing it and they're revving that clock up and they're finding new ways to optimize it.
I mean, that was kind of like the end. No, I don't want to say the end, but like where, you know, because the technology from even when the PS3 first came out to like towards the end, they could still upgrade it, but now we've, like I've said, we've kind of like plateaued. I mean, I don't really follow the PS5 or like Xbox One or even really the Switch that much. Like, are there games that are like either that have been out or coming out that are like, wow, this is going to be like the game for the system? Is there anything?
I think Nintendo is still doing that. I think it's funny that the Switch is still coming out with new games that people are interested and excited to play, that you're not seeing as much of that. It's part of it, I think, too, is how gaming has developed, like the movie industry, and how now budgets have been blown up. And there's still an indie scene. I'm not saying there isn't, but there's just so much pressure on these game companies to create things that I think that it's sapping some of the fun, because it has to be this big movie production now. And so I think there's less and less. And Ryan, you've talked about how, you've made a somewhat flippant comments, but they're warranted. Like, there's nothing on it. Like, there's nothing really on these systems that's I have to play, or there might be 3 or 4 or 5 games, but that's it. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really use my PS5 that much unless I'm playing.
And you're playing like retro style games.
Roblox.
On it, right? Yeah.
Right. Like that. What does that say about the system? Right.
But I mean, I guess, are we still the audience for the PS5? I guess
it's selling. I don't know if it's selling as well as prior systems, but it's still selling.
So. Yeah.
Well, I think too, at least with the current gen stuff, the problem with the PS5 sales too is they're ballooned a little bit more than they normally would be because of everything that happened with COVID and the scalping, and I think just those numbers are a little artificially high.
But I mean, the same thing happens like at every system when it comes out. The thing was like
yes,
the PS4.
But I think that was a different level.
Quantities.
Yeah, I think to me that was a little bit different of a level of it. But and then I think Nintendo should, just to go back to your question, I think Nintendo kind of should be included in it, because I have my own gripes with Nintendo, primarily with they have a tendency to, at least with their first party stuff, kind of just not, I don't want to say not reinvent the wheel, but they do not take a lot of risk. So you get a lot of games that are exceedingly
They
similar.
used to take more risk.
Yeah, now it's a lot of the exceedingly similar things. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, I played Breath of the Wild and I was like, I've played this game, but I've played a better version of it, i.e. a ton of other Western style RPGs I've played. Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, to go to the Bethesda ones, or you can go to stuff like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, but you're talking about games that came out 15 years ago.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the funny part to me, is the fact that they came out 15 years ago, but they had better game mechanics and better storyline.
Okay. I mean, that's arguable. I think
so. That's like,
I think Breath of the Wild has a magic to it still, though. I think that's the thing that I'm talking about, is like, to me, a game like Breath of the Wild had the magic, but that game came out like 8 years ago now.
No, I know. Yeah.
It came out a long time ago, right?
And that was the one that came out on the Wii U, right?
Wii U and the Switch.
Yeah. The launch title. Yeah.
And for me, that was a breath of fresh air for that series. Here's the only issue with that is it's so long that I'm never going to play it again. Like, not in earnest, not to try to complete every shrine and all that stuff again. I don't know. I feel like the gaming industry is no longer about the key aspect of it, which is fun. I think it's purely about meeting deadlines and meeting production goals and sales goals to take care of shareholders. And I think it's less about the fun. It's less about the wonderment of the game and creating something that is exciting and having fun with it. And I think part of it is because they're not thought of as toys anymore. Games used to be thought of as toys. They were for kids. They were things that were fun for kids. Now they still were amazing in their development, but they were thought of as something that was childlike or childish in a good way, that was meant to be something that was innovative but fun and bright and exciting. And now I feel like a lot of games have gotten really serious in tone. They've gone for that movie style production, and it's less about just, we've talked about Trenton before, having fun, but I don't see games being as bright anymore, as vibrant, as colorful. I've sort of gotten disenfranchised with modern gaming, and part of it is, look at the bar that these retro games have set. I don't know if that modern gaming can meet it. These games that we played as kids they didn't dominate our time ever, right? Even back then, they really didn't dominate our time. We could stop them at a certain point and come back to them whenever we wanted to, or just restart the whole game because it only took 45 minutes to beat, right? And they were bright, they were colorful, they had amazing, fun, game mechanics, but it was all about that more so than, I feel like games have leaned into creating story, right? And not so much about the game mechanics themselves.
This is literally an exact parallel of what people say about wrestling. The way you just said it. The characters were more colorful back then, and it was more about the story. And now it's about moves and not the story. It's like literally an exact parallel of how people reflect on wrestling now. That people like, I want a story with, I like the wrestling, but I want a story with it too. And then no one's really a character anymore. They're just.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think it was more important to have good game mechanics back then and something that was gripping and fun and light, and less about having to create this compelling story. I mean, remember, Mario Brothers was just, I had to go save the princess, but it was more about hopping on the turtles and getting over the trees and breaking the bricks to be able to get through.
I get, but it's like a similar kind of path as where like each one.
I think there's a lot of intersections between music, movies, entertainment, where video games have now become a part of that.
Yeah, it's the
instead of their own thing.
Yeah, it's like the Marvel effect. It's like it's like, when's the new Marvel movie coming out? Because that's the only time people like want to go to the movies or something. Like they want this huge, big blockbuster movie, and it makes it harder for like these other just new movies that no one's ever heard of to come out and like kind of like break. You know what I mean? Whereas like they just want name brand recognition. You know, that's the only thing that people want to win. Like investors and people want to put their money into is like, we know it's going to be a guaranteed hit, and that's where we want to put our money, not into something else that like a new IP. You know,
I just think that a lot of game companies now have departments. You know what I mean? Like they've got departments, and well, this has got to go, well,
it's not. Yeah.
This has got to go to marketing. This has got to go to the engineering staff. This has got to go to it's like
they got to approve this.
There were two people that made a game back in 1988. It was maybe 5 people that made a video game. Right? It was smaller teams, way smaller budgets, but also the development time was so small. They could make a game in a few months or 4 months or 5 or 6 months, right? And get it out there and have it be great, because there weren't as many variables. There weren't as many things that they had to worry about. It was more about creating a fun experience that was tight. And I feel like everything here now in modern time is like overblown. And I feel like because of that, social pressures too that have come into play, like people feel like maybe they can't be themselves. They got to create content that they think is going to be socially acceptable, right? Everybody's looking over their shoulder with stuff. I think that there's a lot of this effect that's happening. I can't speak as much to the indie game scene because I'm not doing a whole lot of modern gaming, but Aqua Kitty was one that I played 10 years ago that I got it for, on Vita, and then I had it for PS4 and everything that I could play it on now, the Switch, and it's just a tight gameplay, great music, right? Great music, doesn't dominate your time, very colorful, kind of goes back to those days, right? So is this infecting partially the indie game scene too, right? Or I don't know. I mean, you would probably be the authority on that, Ryan. I don't know if you have any guidance on that.
I mean, I would say, like, I think you're right that, like, especially with modern stuff, it's very corporatized now. So the problem with that is you don't have a concise creative vision anymore. It's not one or a few people. It's everything's by committee now. And because of that, you get big messes. So, like, a good example, like, would be, like, something like Baldur's Gate 3. Versus games that came out around the similar time frame.
I had that as a topic like 4 months ago that I wanted to discuss with you guys, was this Baldur's Gate 3, because it seemed like it was getting traction. People were really liking it. But that moment has passed. That time has passed.
Yeah, because that game, basically the way they wrote it was they wrote it like they wrote the old games. It's complete. It's a D&D game, which means it's player choice. You make the game what you want. The choices you make impact your play, but it's still fun. Different interactions are happening. You want to come back to it. You don't have to play it you can play it for hours, but you don't have to. Versus something like either, the Justice League game that came out, or the Suicide Squad game, I should say. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think it's called, which has crashed and burned horrifically because it's basically just a game as a service, because they didn't worry.
Is that multiplayer, like
the one that you have to be online? Even though it's a single player story, it doesn't make sense.
That's the other thing that I think is warranted here, is that I think the gaming community is partially to blame for this, because one of the things that we've heard for years now, and it annoys me a little bit, is this need to have everything last 1,000 hours. We have 1 million games out there. Why do you need every experience to last 1,000 hours to make you feel all good and warm and fuzzy inside? It actually, I think that
content.
Yeah, the content thing is just too much. I think this need and desire for content has actually watered down the experience.
There's got to be like a balance somewhere, because it's like if you're spending $60 or $70 on a game and it's only, I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, if it's only, I don't know, a few hours or something like that, you'd be like,
great. It means you can play it again and again.
Not necessarily. I'm making
like Double Dragon that you got for PS4, because
that was $30 though.
You know what though?
No, but I'm saying
to me, it doesn't matter how much it costs.
No, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying in general. I'm saying people would complain if they spent $70 on a game and it wasn't. I don't know what where the happy medium is in terms of hours or time to beat it. I don't know where that is, but I'm saying there would be.
I wish these developers would have some balls and actually just say, we don't care. We're going to make the game we want to make, and then you guys decide if you want to pay for it or not. But
you can't. You can agree that you can't
charge what you want to charge.
But you can't. You have to agree you can't charge $60 for a 4-hour game. Don't you think you probably wouldn't do that though?
Why not?
I mean, they used to. I mean,
why not? That's how they used to do things back in the day. There was no difference in
I understand that.
Every game was $40 or $50.
No, I understand that, but it's different now, though. You're trying to compare it to back then.
But that's my point. My point is that the gamers have taken over the control, and they're asking for something that is like you're making a deal with the devil. Like you're asking for something that actually is not what you are going to enjoy, but you think it in your brain that that's going to make you happier, but it's really not. You know, I think, was it Shigeru Miyamoto who said, and maybe it's somebody else, that gamers don't know what they want until they play it?
I do think it was someone. I think it might have been. It was someone. Someone from Nintendo.
It was a Japanese producer developer, but it was basically like, and that's where the innovation of Nintendo doing things their own way was successful, at least in terms of innovation, right? Like they were able to innovate by doing their own thing and letting their developers come up with creative ideas on how to do things.
Well, it wasn't just them. I mean, that's the thing is like most of the big Nintendo games that people remember were not done by Nintendo.
No, what I mean is that right,
you know.
But even Sega was similar. I mean, look at the Samba de Amigo maracas and the friggin' bass controller and you know, like the analog, the way that it's not just you know, people are lazy or people want what they don't know nowadays. I think there's part of that, like when you first were talking about this conversation about how we kind of tapped out a little bit, right? The newer technology, every time we had a ramp up, gave new opportunities for innovation that I think.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we have to buck the trend a little bit and say, hey, make games like they made them back in the day, because those experiences, like a Baldur's Gate, right, or like a Mega Man, like people will just play that stuff over and over again. You just make a new version every 18 months. People are going to play it.
Yeah, they do. But like, if to go back to that Double Dragon I got the guide on PS4, if it was $60, I wouldn't have bought it. You know.
Well, if it can be profitable at 30, then fine. I'm not saying they should charge more than they think is warranted to make a profit. I'm just saying, whatever the game costs to make, charge enough to make a profit, and just go from there. Like, don't try to create this like 500-hour epic. Like The Witcher, I think probably ruined it for a lot of people because it was such a good game that was so long that they were like, oh, well, now every developer's got to do this. You know?
It's a slippery slope, as they say.
And I think all of these topics that we're talking about, that we're going to talk about, kind of tie in together. So this might bleed over, but let's talk about topic number 3, which is, well, it's kind of a two-pronged thing because Ryan, you had a comment on it, but my thought was, is Xbox Game Pass bad for gaming? To which you said, are games as a service in and of themselves bad for gaming?
Because it doesn't PlayStation has one too, like a PlayStation
Plus,
Plus. Right?
Okay, but to me that's a little bit different. right? Isn't that a little bit different, or is it not the same way it was from years ago, where you got a certain number of games every month that you could then download and you could have as long as you were a member?
A lot of those they've all cut that basically now. It's just like, oh, you have access to these games as long as you pay for it.
And so what's I got confused. So what's the difference? So what's the Xbox Game Pass then?
It's kind of similar then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically similar concept. So PlayStation Plus,
as long as you're subscribed.
Yeah, you get access to certain games. I know with both PS Plus and Game Pass, if you have the subscription to, you can get discounts on games that aren't on the pass as well. Like you'll get some like 20% off or something, but basically it's just, here's a library of 300 or so games. You can download them and play them as long as you're paying for the service. If you stop paying for the service, they won't work.
Now you're saying, is that bad? Or
is it bad for is it bad for gaming? And so part of it reaches back to the conversation we just had about gaming's innovation, right? About have we stalled out a little bit, right? And I think what Xbox and PlayStation, really PlayStation as a response to Xbox, because I think Xbox did it first, but trying to create this sort of Netflix model, for games. And so Xbox has gobbled up all these developers, right? And now they got this platform, and I know their thought was, well, hey, listen, we're going to have this subscription service and everybody's going to subscribe to it, and we're going to make boatloads of money, and they'll have all these games they can play, and it'll be better for everybody. But I think the reality is you are playing one game, you just play that one game for however long, and you enjoy that one game and you play it, right? And when you're done, then you look to the next thing, whatever new game is going to come out. I think that the subscription model in this regard is different than the way they used to have it, where you were able to download the games and then you had them on your system, or you had claim to them, right, for as long as you were a member of that service. It was a little bit different.
Isn't that what it is now?
No, it's like you have the Netflix model. It's just a bunch of games that are all available.
They can remove them.
And you can play them.
Yeah.
And what it kind of reminds me of is sort of that emulator model where you bought an emulator and it's got 1,000 games on it.
Yeah, and you just don't know what to do.
There's no real commitment to any one of those games, right? And it's not even just, I went to the store and there was a Sega game and it came in the plastic clamshell and it has all this and I have this sense of ownership. That is a huge piece of it too, on the other direction. But just by having access to the games, it's almost like an analysis paralysis. Like, what should I play? I don't even know. And I don't feel tied to this game. Like, even if you buy it electronically and it's on your system and you paid $60, I paid $60 for that game, right? I wanted to explore that game as much as possible. There's a sense of ownership. I want to know that I made the right decision, right? I mean, there's risk in making that decision to buy a game. If you remember when we were kids, a lot of times we looked at the back of the box and said, yeah, this looks good. I know I'm taking a risk here, but I'm going to buy it, right? And sometimes we were rewarded with a really good game, and sometimes it was a stinker, right? Like Frogger the Great Escape, which we probably should have known was going to be bad. But we don't remember as much the pain of the losses or of the bad ones. We remember the ones that were really great, right? And there were some amazing experiences, and there was such ownership there. There's a reason why we collect the games that we collect, and that's because we feel the sense of title to them.
I just feel like we're we're in like a different demographic for,
and that might be the case.
That. You'd have
but
to
the last I checked, Game Pass numbers aren't growing.
Oh, see, yeah, I don't know.
And they're struggling with it, and they're struggling to justify it, and they're I don't know what they're charging now, but
$17.95 a month.
I'm trying to figure out why is that the case, right? If it was exploding and it was doing well, then I don't know if this would be a topic necessarily, but it just seems like if I was gonna subscribe to that, and of course I'm me, right, which we know we're in a different demographic than younger Gen Zers, but I wouldn't feel a sense of ownership over any one of those games, even if I was playing one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you personally, I'm saying, it's like you don't have the time to look, have that subscription model.
But even if I
look
didn't,
through all those,
it's like an emulator. When I was a kid, I had an emulator. I didn't play those games as much as I played the games that I owned.
No, yeah, and I've said that too. When I got that Raspberry Pi, I'm like, it's just like over, like you play like a game for like 30 seconds or like a few minutes. Or I want to try this other game I have never played. It's like you just keep going.
And when you think about it, the way they've made these games now is that they take 5 hours just to figure out what the heck you're doing.
Yeah.
So think about that time commitment to be able to just figure out whether or not you're going to like a game, right? Back in the day, if we were going to play Frogger, you plugged it in, you were in the game right away, and you knew if you liked it or not.
You got to go through like a tutorial mode and figure out everything.
You got to figure out the controls before you.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking at random because I don't know what games. Are they like all like top tier games they put in this service, or is like a bunch of
Ryan? You comment on that, please.
I was gonna say, so for like.
I know, like,
initially it sounded like a good concept. So when Game Pass came out, their whole thing was anything created by Xbox Game Studios, which is a lot now.
Yeah.
You get day one, no charge. So that means new Forza Horizon comes out. You can play it day one as long as you're subscribed. New Halo comes out. Get it day one.
What about like Bethesda?
When they bought them, yes.
Oh, so you're saying if they put a new Halo out, then that
you
would
get
be
it day one without having
$18 subscription?
Yep.
Okay.
Day one. So that was the whole thing, was like, oh, okay, so...
It costs $100 million to make one of those big games now.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, I'll subscribe for... And back then I think it was 15 for Ultimate, and it was like, oh, you get it, and you get it on PC. That was the other thing, too. So it's like, oh, I have access to this on my system and on PC.
Who cares?
So it's like, okay,
Who
cool.
cares? Who cares if I have it on PC and the Xbox?
Well...
Who cares?
It was so people who didn't have console would buy it. That was the point.
It's like they're trying to convince you why you should do this and why it's so great when it doesn't add anything to the experience.
Well, the problem that they run into is, here's the thing. One, you don't have... if you lose subscription, you don't have access to the games anymore. So another is, like you said, analysis paralysis, where there's so much, you're like, well, what do I do? And then you end up playing 2 games and just sticking to it. And then it's like, well, why would I spend $20?
I'm about to cancel my Netflix. I haven't yet, but we don't watch anything on that. And it's kind of the thing where I think it's a good thing to have in the back burner. Like you subscribe every once in a while to just see what's going on. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I like this. And then, you'll either play it or you'll just buy it and then kind of dip out, dip in, dip out.
Yeah. Like I've never had my own Netflix subscription, but like I've been to people's places or whatever, and I'm like, all right, let's look this. And there's like every movie you want to watch is on some other, because like every studio has their like their own subscription service. Like there's Paramount Plus, there's Disney. It's like there's so many movies that aren't even on Netflix.
So you know what I do now is I've got a Vudu subscription. I've purchased or converted my DVDs and
so
Blu-rays.
You bought like digital versions,
4K movies, whatever they are. I've converted them. I have 116 movies on there now, and I have everything that I want, everything that I really like. I've got like the Ghostbuster movies, I've got the Hobbit movies, and I've got Star Wars on there, Harry Potter. We've got movie series. We just got like Guilty Pleasure, Gilmore Girls, and don't tell anybody. And
don't worry, no one's listening.
Little House on the Prairie, which is one that I've never watched, and I love. I do want to get Next Generation on there. But there's a ton of movies that I have on there that my wife, myself, my son, the Disney stuff. But we buy what we want, and we have it there now. And now all we do is watch Vudu.
Yeah, so you're definitely in the minority when it comes to like that. I think it's a better experience.
No,
I understand, but
because I'm not flipping through stuff saying, well, what am I going to watch? I don't know. Is this good? Is this good? It's like,
but you understand.
You're like, I don't know if I want to devote a half an hour to that. Meanwhile, you spent 45 minutes trying to figure out what you were going to watch.
I know, but you understand that. Though, right?
It's
that
like,
you're in the minority when it comes to that.
And the minority of what? Enlightenment and like being awake and actually being real?
I guess. We're just talking about Netflix.
Well, I think people are lulled into this is the way of things. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that way.
The thing is, too, when you do something like that...
And I have that on every screen, every TV in my house, minus the ones that are RF only. I have my Vudu subscription, or now it's Fandango at home. But it's been a breath of fresh air because now when I go on there, every single movie and show is something I like. Sal's got Rugrats on there. He loves watching Rugrats, right? And even stuff that we haven't bought yet, I know it's available through there. And I pay one price, I'm done. I don't have to pay for it again, and I know it's always going to be available. Netflix switches stuff out. Sometimes you don't have it, right? You know, Leo was good.
Who?
Leo was good.
What?
It was the Adam Sandler movie where he plays a chameleon.
Oh.
Yeah. That was good, but it's not worth the $18 I'm spending or whatever it is for the Netflix package.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
But I think bringing this back, it's a similar thing with some of these games as a service things. Is like, and even as a company, how are you going to make enough money on that when your production budgets have gone through the roof?
Well, there obviously must be a way.
Well, I was going to say, this is the other problem with the subscription services, too. When the way a lot of these games make money now is they don't do it through sales anymore. It's through skins and cosmetics.
In purchase.
Yeah.
In purchase.
So that's the thing.
In-game purchases. Sorry.
When all the games that kids want to play are free, Roblox, Fortnite.
It's a curse, man.
So there's the problem is because those games are free. It's like, well, why would I subscribe when I'm already going to have to give my kid $20 for skins, $30 for skins, you know? So that's the problem and the Achilles heel with that type of stuff.
Remember when you were able to unlock a new character in No Mercy? Or like WCW, NWO Revenge?
You beat the game.
Well,
and
here's
get
the thing,
character.
though, is...
Remember that? Remember how satisfying it was to unlock a new character? You really played the game. You really got into it.
Well, this is where I would go with this. What
do you say? Like an inch deep and a mile wide?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. Is all these games?
That's the way I live my life.
There's no depth. There's no depth.
That's a very sad existence, Trent. I'm really sorry for you.
What I was gonna kind of get to was the problem is we have the power of the purse. The problem is
we're not power of the purse. Are you putting the purse on a pedestal?
We're not utilizing it correctly. It's people keep dumping money into this stuff and then complaining about it. It's like, well, then stop buying it. My whole thing is if you don't like in-game transactions, don't buy them, because that's the only way that developers are going to do. Because most of these companies now they're
going to a dry well looking for water.
Well, they're not run by people who develop games anymore. They're run by MBAs who have no clue other than, I'm jumping from this company to this company as CFO or CEO or head whatever.
Where's the profits?
Exactly. It's all about shareholders and profits. They don't care about anything else.
They sucked the life out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, is that's every major corporation right now is functioning that way.
Why would you want to be a game developer anymore?
And they go by committee and they go naive. By what they think
that's the indie scene.
The social winds blow and how they think they can maximize profits, and it ends up biting them usually, i.e. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League versus Baldur's Gate. There's a reason Baldur's Gate sold as well as it did. It was a single developer who had a single concept and stuck with it versus, game by committee, which does not work well, i.e. Star Wars.
You want to?
That's movie by committee.
Yeah,
you want to do one more? Or?
Yeah, we'll move on to the next. I lament the situation of where it's at, and I wonder. I'd love to get the perspective of a younger person, not quite Sal's age, but maybe somebody who's in their teens, and kind of get their perspective on it and how they feel. If you're in your early 20s, if you're a teenager, let us know what you guys think about this stuff, and if you like it, why. I don't frankly understand it, and I think it's actually it's doing a nosedive, especially with all what we're hearing about Xbox and some of their things. I think they're going to go third party pretty soon. I think they just it's the social optics of it that they want to land the plane slowly and not piss everybody off right away.
This will be their last system.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either. But anywho, let's move on to the next topic here, which is this one's a little bit more lighthearted, but probably can call back to some of these other topics. Wii U versus Switch face off. Which one you taking and why? And the reason why I'm asking this, most people would think this is crazy, but we played a zillion hours of the Wii U, and I think we were, Trenton, you were the earliest adopter, I think, out of all of us.
I got it day one.
And I was shortly thereafter, after we realized the experience, talking about innovation, right? This tablet that does all these crazy things. But I think most people missed out on the Wii U. Definitely people who bought the Switch. And so I don't know. Wanted to get some perspective on that.
It's. I mean, you say that
for you. For
me.
For you.
Okay. Well, since I don't have a Switch, I don't really play it.
That's an easy one then.
You know, I know, but that's why I'm trying to give.
But why
a
do
different
you?
Perspective.
Why do you love the Wii U?
I don't know. I always have I guess I have a thing for the systems or
the outcasts.
Yeah, I do. It's kind of like with everything and music and like everything else. I always like the other, like the ones.
You're a contrarian.
The ones that people don't like as much, or sometimes the ones that people have a problem with. I'm like, so why do people have a problem with
this? There's got to be a nugget here.
So hipster.
Yeah, it's like, why do these people have a problem?
He's wearing black.
Like, why do people have a problem with this person or with this band? And then I like look and I'm like, all right, this is way blown out of proportion or whatever. But
right.
I think that's kind of why I like the Wii U. Same with like why I like the Jaguar. You know, it's just it's a weird system, and I don't know how to explain why I like the Wii U. I mean, there were a lot of great games for it, but if you're if you're talking about right now, I mean, why would you want to? I guess I don't know. Why would you want to collect for it, or why would you play it now when you have the Switch, where there's only maybe like a couple games that were on the Wii U that they haven't ported to the Switch, which would probably never happen, which would be
Pikmin 3, maybe.
Maybe. Well, I was also gonna say Nintendo Land.
Tropical Freeze
got ported,
like Nintendo Land.
Yoshi's Woolly World.
It's on 3DS. I don't think it got ported to Switch.
Yeah, I don't know why you would pick especially since they cut the online service too, so it's not like you can download any new games on it either.
Batman Arkham City Armored Edition.
They did.
But yeah, most of all the Nintendo's exclusives have been put out on the Switch.
Don't discount the launch game Nintendo Land.
I said that like twice. Yeah, I don't think you were listening.
I wasn't listening.
I was like, that's like the only
I was
game
looking at my list of stuff.
I said that's like the only game they haven't ported because I guess you can't because
no, I don't mean just having ported. I'm talking about how absolutely phenomenal it is. I know Retrobird said it's the best launch game in the history of launch games, especially for the party aspect of it.
Well, I'd have to think about it. I could see why. I just wish, I do wish a lot more people would, I remember
just the idea of like how many games are in one, and they're actually they're developed experiences.
Yeah,
that Metroid game is incredible.
I know. Yeah, you're telling me. I
understand. Let me hone the conversation a little bit in terms of why I brought it up, because I have experience with both systems. Yeah. And Ryan, I think you have less experience with the Wii U, more with the Switch.
I actually played the Wii U before I played the Switch.
All right, so you didn't play a lot of the Wii U. So so for me, that was a joke. So deadpan. I'm gonna name 4 games for the Wii U.
Go ahead, shoot.
That had sequels on the Switch. Okay, and I want you to tell me
which ones are ported.
Sequels. And I want you to tell me
Well, anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, so when I think of the Wii U, I think of games like Super Mario 3D World, Pikmin 3, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Yoshi's Woolly World, like I just talked about, right? Yeah. On the Switch, we had Mario Odyssey, Pikmin 4, Yoshi's Crafted World. I call it Yoshi's Crafted World Black Flag. And the reason why I call it that is that they made you do a bunch of things that you didn't want to do, but they filled it with content that they thought they needed to do. And when I look at the Wii U games versus the Switch games, I see this very clear divide. Pikmin 4, I can tell, was made as a game that needed to have a bunch of hours, more so than
filler,
fun gaming mechanics and just play. And it's still fun. But when I look at those two systems and I look at those games, like Mario 3D World to me is the last great Super Mario game to me. Especially 3D game. Pikmin 3 is a better game hands down than Pikmin 4. I think it's probably the
and that isn't sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Super Mario 3D World on that All-Stars one?
No, it's not.
It's not.
No,
okay,
no.
Right.
But it was ported to the Switch.
It was.
But Yoshi's Woolly World was all about secrets. Find the secrets, right? Whereas Yoshi's Crafted World was collect these and then go collect these and then go collect these. It was less about discovery and more about checking boxes. You know what I mean? And so and even like Odyssey didn't to me have the type of level design. It was more of that go and search out things that you don't really know where they are. It was fine, but it didn't hit like Mario 3D World did. I think it was the start of that, where they kind of leaned in a little bit more to, kind of lacking some of that innovation and just trying to do filler content and make the games longer because they feel like that's the way the industry is moving. The Wii U, those experiences, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, you let me borrow that game. And I played it like within a week and a half. I had blisters on my hands from all the extra special levels that you had to beat. And Mario 3D World, my wife was pregnant and we were playing that game, and we both, like the super levels at the end, there's one crazy level where there's the things are changing to the beat, and there's blocks that are just totally evaporating, and if you're on them when the beat hits, you're falling through and dying. I think we died like 80 times, but we finally beat it, and I got to the top of the flagpole, and it was great, but it was like this satisfying experience where we were like, we did it, and it's like it created that ownership. And I think the Wii U per capita has more great games than almost any system out there.
Okay.
Per capita, meaning for how many games were created for it.
But you're saying
especially Nintendo.
But you're saying choose one over the other.
Nintendo hit so hard. I would personally, I have an affinity to the Wii U.
I get it, but like, so you're basically justifying that the Wii U is better based off a couple games. Because you can still get them on the Switch.
It goes back to how I feel about the gaming industry. Bringing this back to the topic number 2. If you haven't listened to that, check it out. But going back to topic number 2 and about innovation, and I feel like the Wii U had such a environment for innovation with that gamepad, like things that you were able to do with that. The Yoshi game where you have to you see it on the screen, or you see it here and you have to draw where Yoshi's going to go.
But or
you have to blow into the microphone to get Donkey Kong to move so he can go on the erector set.
That makes sense. But then, I mean, the problem with it was a lot of people didn't use the gamepad when they had their game. Maybe not Nintendo, but like
other developers.
They just would take whatever games and the only thing
New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
But I know
is my favorite new Super Mario Brothers game.
I'm saying not Nintendo though. I'm saying other developers, they would just port the game that was on PS3 and they would just put the menu on
the Rayman game. Ubisoft did a good job of supporting the Wii U with Rayman. That game was made for the Wii U. You had one person with the pad that was moving the levers and things so that Rayman could get through. And that was a great kind of co-op experience. My wife could do that with the pad while I was actually running, and we were screaming at the screen together.
Like that tank game's kind of fun.
Tank.
It's not a very beefy game, but I think it was, a lot of people didn't. It didn't start off with a bang, and then that kind of
NES Remix.
That kind of
NES Remix was a game that it was nobody knew that was, but that's what I'm saying is they hit. Mario Kart 8 is still a game people play. That game started on the Wii U. That game's phenomenal.
I know, but you would still choose. You're going based on feeling, then, really, is what you're saying.
Well, you also get to play the Wii games, so you get to go back and play the Wii games too. It's 2 systems in one.
Yeah, so I was totally forgot about that.
You get to have that as well, right? So but I don't know. I guess it's my love letter back to Nintendo for the Wii U. But to me, that was the last system that really innovated, and anything that's come after that has sort of been.
Well, I think
a computer.
The Switch definitely innovated on that.
Oh, that's true. I mean,
that was the beginnings of the Switch.
But do you see as much of that sort of what's it called? It's not co-op, or there's certain people doing things with the screen and other people doing stuff on the TV. They can't do that with the Switch because the Switch is
docked. Yeah,
it's docked, right? So, or it's separate where it's just on the
it's more
table.
Just you're just sharing a screen playing, like Mario Kart. If you undock it and you got you can have a couple people surrounding it and just playing on the screen.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I forget what they call that when it's co-op or it's competitive, but it's you're doing something on a different screen versus what the other people are doing.
Yeah, in Mario Kart 8, couldn't you? Or no, you couldn't do it. I don't know why. That was one thing I wish
you could have one person, I think, on.
No, but I wish they would have done it so you could do 5 players, where you had 4 people on the split screen, 1 person on them.
Oh,
but they never did. Remember? I remember when it came out, we were talking about this. Why didn't they do that? They could have.
I just remember every time I went to go get a Wii U game, every time I came home and I knew it was going to be an amazing experience that either was innovative or just a complete blast.
Yeah, for the Nintendo, like
well, that's what
games.
we bought was the Nintendo games. I mean,
because a lot of the other games they were just ports of PS3 games
that weren't as good,
or they were just it was just the same. Yeah.
There was no reason to own it on Wii U.
That kind of like plagued the system. You know, it was like Nintendo, just because it didn't get out to a hot start, everyone was just kind of like, we'll put out a game for it, but
the innovation now is where you can play it more so than how to interact with the game.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Well, I mean for Switch,
like,
they did do
system,
stuff like the HD Rumble and stuff for the Switch, which is pretty cool. Like certain Mario Party games
for the controllers. Yeah, that is cool.
So that's cool. I would still go Switch.
Hyrule Warriors is another one that was pretty awesome.
It was really
between the two, really only because I think it may be just personal preference, but I think there's more.
Well, that's all it is for me too.
There's for the most part. There was more games that interested me. So like an early one would be like Octopath Traveler.
That was a big one at the time. The Xenoblade game too.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Bayonetta.
Oh my gosh, Bayonetta 2. Remember they got the exclusive for that?
Yeah.
We were so excited for that.
Obviously later on that came out on the Switch, didn't it?
Yeah, that was on Wii U originally, yeah. And then
such a good game though. Yeah. Like such a good Devil May Cry game.
It came with both games.
With both games, yeah. It just I don't know, it just there was something special about being a Wii U owner because
it comes back to what I'm saying.
Nobody else was like a Wii U owner. Like you had something that nobody else had, and it was special.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, which you don't want that. I mean, you want people to enjoy games, and you want gaming to be somewhat ubiquitous.
But if that's what it is, then
yeah,
just along for the ride.
So what else? I mean, you mentioned Xenoblade, Octopath. What other experiences do you look at and say this is?
I mean, because I'm such a big fan. Like I really liked Animal Crossing. So like
a lot of indie stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing.
A lot of indie stuff
is because the Switch is such old tech. Technically, even when it came out, it was antiquated.
Still viable though.
Yeah,
like you can still make great games on it.
It's a even when it came out, it was a 2-3-year-old tablet, but. The nice thing about that is it makes it really easy for people to port stuff because the architecture's been out so long.
Yeah.
So you get so much more, like things like Castle Shikigami 2. We wouldn't see that on anything.
Shikigami.
It was some random PS2 game that most people didn't buy. Would it come out 2016?
March of 17, I think.
That's pretty wild. In today's standards for a system, it'd be about 7 years.
Mm-hmm. And to me, I think it's the most exciting game console right now.
And they're still putting out interesting things. So like Super Mario RPG, the remake of that, that was out of left field. Like that, it was one game.
Or the new Super Mario Luigi game that's going to be coming out.
They're bringing back the Mario and Luigi games,
the Peach game, and just
there's Showtime. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that they're doing that's cool. So
they're kind of allowing the old school AA title. Yeah. It's not insanely expensive.
What's the Squid game that came out on Wii U?
Oh, Splatoon.
Like that, these games got their start on Wii U.
Splatoon was a game changer for me. I remember when that first came out.
But that's what I'm saying is those games hit, man. They started on
amazing.
Wii U.
Yeah.
Even Xenoblade, that started on Wii.
I totally forgot about Splatoon, man. When that first came out, I was like, this is such a cool game, and I was playing it all the time.
So yeah,
I mean, if you go back to your, the other topic where you were talking about innovation. So I guess we're just at a point where it's not really about. I mean, I guess it could be about innovation, but it's like as long as you're just putting out good games, then.
But I think they're struggling doing that because of. Well, we talked about it in the topic, but I think they're struggling because of the development budgets and how many departments there are, and it's a committee, and it's not a development mind that's creating it from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
There's less risk they can take because there's more timeline, there's more money investment, so they can't just come up with an idea and see if it sticks.
There's too many foremen, not enough workers.
I mean, I guess that maybe that applies to those the bigger budget titles, but I mean, there's tons of.
I wonder if there's a trickle down effect that's occurring now.
I think that's why those indie games do so well. So something like Vampire Survivors. I don't know if you've played that.
I've heard of it. That
game is fantastic.
We need more of that.
I bought it for $3.
We need more of that stuff.
And it was I would have paid $20 for that game. It's like one.
The problem is that me as an old guy playing these things. When I say old guy, I mean relatively. I don't hear about the vampire stuff. I don't know about that, right? Because every commercial I see is for friggin' Ragnarok and like Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and
they
all
have
this,
the money to promote it.
right?
That's how it works.
So to me, it's like, why do I even look? Why even pay attention to any of that stuff? I want to play on my RF TV and I want to play Castlevania 3.
Don't bother me.
You know, it's so
Get off my game lawn.
white trash. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll have more next time, but hopefully this is a new way forward for the podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a ton of fun. So we'll hopefully get this out to you very soon, and then we'll have another show in the works pretty soon from there. We'll come up with some new topics, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please give us some feedback. So if you feel in one way or the other, let us know. But we appreciate you guys being here with us. What was our sign off? It's been so long now.
Be happy,
safe, be happy,
be healthy.
Be safe, be happy, be healthy.
And
as
always.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to recognize number one upstairs, the good Lord above.
You got another floor?
Be safe, be happy, be healthy. And as always, keep it turbo.
Touch me. Tease me.
Wolfpack is back, cause I'm mass destruction. Guess who's here? The bad boys are wrestling. Testing competition, win the war, that's their mission. Not no mercy, see the ring start the street. If you don't know, you better find out the